So earlier today, I was flipping through Joe Brooks' complete book of fly fishing. Now, this is not really a tying book, so I don't recommend it for that, but if you're just a generic history nerd like me, it really is a pretty cool book. And I found a pattern in here that I'd never heard of or seen before. It's called the Sure Strike Special. And as far as I can tell, it's just a big attractor dry fly. And I couldn't tell exactly what it was made out of from this black and white picture. I can tell it's definitely a calf-tail wing-tied trude style, but I wasn't really sure about the body. Could be a chenille or Peacock herl, so I'm gonna go with a Peacock herl. And he had the fly in his trout section, so you'd think it'll be a decent trout fly. I'd probably fish it in the summer months when terrestrials are out, but I'd fish this thing for panfish or bass just any time of the year. Now, I can't tell if this thing's gonna be a really high floater. I don't think it will be, but I think it'll float okay, but it's probably gonna sit down there a little bit in the surface film, so you probably can't hang a heavy nymph off of it. But it's a pretty simple tie. I think it's kind of cool looking. So there it is in the vise, the Sure Strike Special, which, as far as I can tell, just a big attractor dry fly. And I'm tying it pretty big. This is a size 12. It's a 3 extra long generic curve shank hook, which is kind of my go-to terrestrial hook. It's like a hopper hook. Well, I'll usually tie it bigger than a 12 if I'm doing a hopper, but I think it'll work for this pattern. And I'm gonna keep my thread pretty light. This is a black 70 denier. Let's go ahead and catch it in, bring it almost to the back. Actually, we don't need to go all the way to the back. And let's catch in the first two components we're gonna use, and a Mylar tinsel. This one happens to be a holographic, but plain silver would be just fine. And let's put in some Peacock herl. This is 3 strands. I'm gonna catch it in a couple inches from the brittle tips. Now we can I break that off? Well, it didn't break that easily, did it? Now it did. There we go. And now we'll wrap these together just as far back as you want the body. And according to that one picture, it looked like it had a pretty long body, so let's go a little bit around that right there. And I was going to bring my thread all the way up, but I forgot. When wrapping multiple strands of Peacock herl, sometimes it helps to keep your thread about midway, pull it down a little bit, give you some room, and you don't have to spin these together as a rope. Now we can just wrap them up, and that thread will help hold them together. And the reason I'm using 3, I don't think I really need to, and not really for bulk. It's just in case one of them breaks, I'll still have 2. But go ahead and wrap it up, and we're using that thread here to kind of hold these together. So if you didn't have it right there, they might be spreading out a little bit on you. Okay, let's go up and leave at least 1/3 of the hook up front, because we're going to tie in the big calf-tail wing, trude style, and then we're going to have some collar hackle up front. Now let's counter wrap this rib. If I can remember which way is counter wrapping, I usually say that and don't always get it right. But I think this is it right here. Got it, what's that? I got something scrap there. So go ahead and wrap it up, probably 4 turns on this size body. Okay, a couple wraps to secure that, and what I'm going to do here, I'm going to go forward just a little bit more, that way I can fold it back and put some wraps going back and just really make sure that tinsel is caught in pretty well. And now let's put our wing in, white calf tail, and I would recommend just as big a tuft as you think you can get on here without making it just too heavy up front. And probably to the back bend of the hook. I think this is going to work right here. So I'll cord my thread, spin it up a little bit, and get a tight bite right here. It's not really going to flare on us, which is good. We don't really want that. It's not deer hair. I think that's going to work right there. So a couple of tight wraps, and for this going forward, I'm going to try to get it at a little bit of an angle. Probably won't, but if you do, it might make wrapping this hackle just a little bit easier. Okay, I think that'll work right there. I'm going to spend a few thread wraps right here, just trying to make this a little bit smoother of an area right here, which might make it easier to wrap our collar hackle. And our front hackle, just brown dry fly hackle. This is from a bronze grade dry fly cape. And if you look at it, pretty thick right there, but it gets thin fairly quick and then stays, you know, pretty consistent for the rest of the feather here. But I want to oversize it a little bit, so I'm going to start it, yeah, maybe about right there. So there we go, got my feather prepped here, and I've stripped off a little bit more on the side that's going to lay toward the hook first. Go ahead and leave that stem in as I wrap it forward. Several wraps to secure it. Now I'll just snip this little excess tag right here. And on this size 12, I'm hoping I can get 4 or 5 wraps of this thing, but we'll see. Let's go ahead and give it a try. Okay, that's 5, and I don't think I'm crowding my eye too much. I'm getting a little bit close to it, but I should be able to get this pushed back and have enough room for my head with the room for the whip finish. So before I snip it, I'm going to just pull everything back and then ramp it back up just a little bit here. I got one feather going forward. I'll take care of that when we're done, or right now. We'll see how that works. Okay, and I think I've got plenty of room there for a whip finish. Now let's snip this excess, see if we have any cleanup. I think I'm fine. I got one barb going a little bit forward, but we can just push it back or snip that and we'll be fine. So there you go, a Sure Strike special, which I'd consider pretty much a semi-forgotten fly. So I appreciate you watching. Y'all take care and we'll see you next time.